What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be explaining the /title command, which is very useful, and you may have even seen on servers like Hypixel, where you're waiting for your Bed Wars game and the little countdown goes on your screen. That is using the /title command, with also actually the /titleraw command to be specific, which I'll explain the /titleraw command and the /title command in this video. And pretty complicated. I'll try my best not to yap too much, but again, /titleraw command's actually pretty complicated. But if you manage to learn all this, you can impress your friends with some pretty cool effects. So, yeah, we're only two commands, so /title command, then later /titleraw commands. So, the first subcommand that we're going to learn is the time subcommand, which a lot of people forget to do this whenever they run the /title command, and they're like, "Oh, it's not working." No, it's not because it's not working. It's because they didn't run the time subcommand with the /title command first. Because what this does is basically it says how long the title will fade in, how long it will stay on the screen, and then how long it will fade out. So if you don't do this before you start in your world, then it will not work. And I actually made this mistake a couple times when I first was learning commands, but now I do know this. So what it's gonna do is in ticks, it's gonna be 20 ticks fade in, 20 ticks stay in, and then 20 ticks fade out. And that's 20 ticks equals 1 second. So whenever I go and run this simple title command, one of the simplest ones you can get, it's gonna stay in, fade in for a second, stay there for a second, fade out for a second. I don't know why there was some lag there, but anyway, so I'm going to explain that. So this is the most simple title command you could have. So it's title, nearest player, title, hi. So the hi is just the message that I put, but the title subcommand is the other one. So basically, there's a whole bunch of different subcommands of /title, but the one you're going to use the most is title, and then it's going to say hi, which is the message. Then what you can actually do is you can add a subtitle of that. So I'm going to run this, then click on this, be a little hi, hello at the bottom. And basically, the way I did this was I said same thing as before, but I did instead of the title subcommand, you do subtitle subcommand, and then you do hello. What it's gonna do is actually if I click on that, nothing's gonna happen. But then as soon as I run that, it'll actually run with that because a subtitle needs a title for it to actually work. So yeah, pretty simple. It's a good way to add more information to your title without it messing up the whole screen. And it also just looks cool. So this next one, you can clear and reset. So this first one, resets. All it does is if I go and run this, then that's basically going to reset how long the title lasts. So wait, actually, I think that was, sometimes it's a little bit weird for whatever reason, but that's just going to reset how long the title lasts. So just title, nearest player, reset, all it is. And actually, another thing you can do, or sorry, not with this command, the clear subcommand. So just title it pclear. And what it's going to do is, if I go and run this, clear it right away. And like I said, so what I meant by another use for it, in this case, so if I have a subtitle, right? So if I go and run this, I don't want it, whenever I press this, I don't want the subtitle to show up. But if I go and clear it first, then run it, it won't show up. So that's useful if you want to clear the subtitle, if you accidentally did that, or whatever. It's kind of niche, but useful to know if you want to clear it right away. Plus, sometimes clearing titles is actually necessary in some cases. So, this next one, you can make an action bar that constantly displays something at the bottom of the screen. So it's not like so it's not temporary. It'll stay there like forever. So it'll look like this. So, say be careful if like you're walking into a cave or something on a server or whatever. And basically, the way I did this was I used the action bar subcommand, and then I used the section symbol, which changes text color in Minecraft, which you can just look this up on Google if you want to get it yourself, and there should be an image on the screen right now that says that has a list of the formatting for it. So basically, what's going to do is section symbol, then C makes it red, then it says be careful, dot, dot, dot. And it does that on the action bar, and it runs every tick, so it does that. And basically, what you can do with this is like I'll show later with the /titleraw command, because we're gonna do a lot of action bar over there. you can display stuff like a player's kills, player's money, all sorts of stuff like that. But that's the most simple ways that you could do with that. Oh, excuse me. Then you can use the action bar to display a lot of text actually. So basically, what I mean by that is the same thing, but you can just display a ton of text here because it's not too big. So it's like, make sure to buy a rank in our shop. Your score is 38 or whatever. So it'll say that, fade out. And if you want to show a lot of text, like if I did this with just the regular title subcommand, it would take up way too much space on the screen, as you can see. Like you can't read that. But if you go and change it back to action bar, then it's actually then you can actually see it on the screen. And actually, also show you later on. You could actually make it so it's almost like hitting enter in the title, and you can actually basically change that limit to how much you can put on there, like almost infinite, except for the top and bottom of the screen. But most of them aren't gonna get that far. So anyway, so we're done with the /titleraw command. I mean, sorry, the /title command, and we're moving on to the /titleraw command. And very similar syntax, except for the last part, as this command block says. So let's see what that means. Wow, what is going on with this text here? Wow, why is there so many brackets? What? Okay, so I'm gonna try to explain everything here, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably gonna start talking like everyone knows JSON, but yeah, okay, so just try to bear with me, but to really understand this, you have to have some kind of JSON programming background, which I actually have some because I was trying to mod, because like whenever I added custom blocks and stuff, which at some point I'll make a video how to add custom blocks and custom entities, you have to do a little bit of coding for that. So basically, I'm going to try to explain this, but the titleraw command allows you to display text, or a title, I should say. There's also a telraw command, which is basically the exact same thing, but it just shows stuff in chat. So basically, what this does is the text, it says hi. So I'm glad. Okay, so this is a lot to explain, but basically, curly bracket, first components. That's what's called in JSON. The raw text components, and make sure it's in quotations. Then you do the colon, then you do square brackets, which makes an array of components that actually show the text. So the simplest component, the text component, literally just shows text. So this will be raw text, then, and within that array, the text component, make sure it's all within quotations and the syntax like that, exactly like that. And then it'll just say hi on the bottom of the screen. Now you might be thinking, all of that for one word that you could probably just do over there with a /title command. Well, as I'll show you, the /titleraw command is less limited than the /title command. For example, you can add separate lines, like I said earlier. So it's gonna be the exact same thing, but in the text component, it'll be hi \in then hello. So in computer programming, \in basically means new line. So what that basically does, it looks like I'm hitting enter on there. So say hi, hello, and they're on separate lines, which you can use to display a ton of text without it taking up too much space. And this is useful just if you want, like, in my PvP arena thing that I made for my school's Minecraft club. Basically, I had to show like a stat bar at the bottom showing your kills, deaths, and all sorts of stuff. So I used \in a lot to separate them. So pretty simple still, or I shouldn't say pretty simple, but pretty simple in how you can add separate lines just using \in. So this next one is probably the most complicated one in this tutorial. And what this is going to do is going to be all the same things before. And it's going to be the color green, and it'll say money in the color green. Then make sure there's a space here so it looks a little bit nicer whenever you actually see it. Then we see the score subcommand, which is probably the most complicated subcommand that we'll see today because it's got the components within itself, actually, sort of. So basically, you do score in quotations again, colon, then another curly brackets. Then you're gonna do name, and then that'll be @p, which is me in this case because I'm your player. And then what it's gonna say is objective, and then and if you haven't seen my scoreboard video, then I recommend watching that. But basically, scoreboards, I guess the scores, and like whenever you add a different score, it's called an objective according to like the syntax for whatever reason. So it's gonna say objective, then you're gonna put the name of the objective, which in this case I added a money objective. So what's gonna do is it's gonna show my money score like this. So say money, and then in this case, that's it to 200. But if I go and go back to what I had, so I can go ahead and adjust this to where I want. So say money, say 100. Now it'll go back to now the title will actually update. So that's cool, and you can combine this with other scores like kills, deaths, and stuff like I did in my PvP arena, because that was probably the biggest project I've ever done with commands. Because I had to do it with my school's Minecraft club, and it actually ended up failing epically because of some bugs and stuff. But anyway, so it's kind of annoying, but basically you can use that to make all sorts of stat bars and stuff. So this next one, you can add entity names. So what I mean by that is you can add the player's name. Like for example, you can do slash, so it's titleraw again, all the same stuff. Then what we're gonna do is I added a text component here just so I could change the color of it, but you don't have to add this if you don't want to. And then we're gonna add the new component, the selector component. And basically what that does is I put an asterisk here because I said at A in this case because I had it so pretty much actually over here. Name, I should also change that to that. So basically what this means is it's going to do all players. It'll give them their own personalized actual action bar. So it'll put their name and the asterisk here. That basically just applies to whoever the reader of the title is. And then with another text component, it's going to go down 2 lines this time because I think it looks a little bit cleaner in my opinion. And then it's all the same thing as before, but obviously with asterisks here. And it'll give every single player their own personalized scoreboard like this. So it's like Brett is here, A139, my username. Then it'll go down 2 lines, then my money score. So same thing as that, but with the name. So, a lot to take in, but that's basically the gist of the slash title raw command, except for this one, which is a little bit weirder. Honestly, it's kind of weird. You can have like almost emojis, but there's only like 10 to choose from. So basically, so it's all the same stuff. Then you do within the text component, you do \UE, then a number between 100 and 109. And what this gives us is like the hunger bar thing. And it looks kind of weird, but basically you can pick, say I pick the number like 103. I think this is an agent. So there's like 10 different icons to choose from. 109, 109, not 1009, is a wooden sword. And then 108 is wooden pickaxe. I think 104, what is 104? It's whatever that is. I think it's like the text-to-speech icon or whatever. And there's a whole bunch of random ones. Actually, in fun fact, I think the Minecoin one is also in this. For whatever reason, there's the little Minecoin icons on there. I think it's really funny. But basically, you can add some specific emojis here. So kind of niche, but it's cool if you want. I don't know. If you just wanted to show off to your friends, you could do that. I actually only learned about this like an hour ago while researching this video, but I thought it was cool enough to include in the video. So we have one more example, which, like I said at the beginning of the video, the intro that you saw. I'm actually going to explain how I did that in the world itself. So I'm going to have to transition. So hopefully I came up with a really cool transition whenever I edited this. Alright, okay, hopefully I came up with a good transition there. But now, we are now in the room where I filmed my intro, which is like this. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, sorry, that was very bad music impersonation, but whatever. So, basically, behind here, there's some command blocks, which with redstone dust on top of them, because the buttons are actually facing this block, so they won't reach the command block. So I added redstone dust so it actually activate it. And basically, what this does is for some reason, I used the slash titleraw command. I could have just used slash title and then the section symbol, but for some reason, I thought you had to use slash titleraw command whenever I made this, so I did that. So basically, it's in the miners in yellow. Then it's gonna say like and subscribe with a little subtitle. And then the now go touch grass there. And that's basically it. There's actually a very simple intro, but that's basically it. Honestly, there's not a lot of other stuff I can show you. And actually, fun fact, in my very first video, it's actually in the same world as in my very first video in the slash execute world. So fun fact there. Anyway, so thanks for watching. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing. I know I've probably talked a lot, and I'm sure a lot of you are probably lost on what I'm saying at this point, but please consider subscribing. We make a lot of other content here other than command tutorials. We do bed war stuff, visuals. I think we do a couple of PvP videos occasionally. What else? Of course I make command tutorials and I'll keep making them, but other than that, like, I mean, we have a lot of stuff. Please consider subscribing if you like the video. Like it if you hit the like button if you like this video. I don't know, just I don't know, subscribe, do something. Bye. Thanks for watching.